also will try to do something that is that. There's reason that there's no. That's false. So, and done in 500 on a Wednesday morning, and we had almost 800 last year. Didn't even. So I really think that they have always known of everyone. Kindness, care, love, and sympathy. Just both represents as marginalized, slaves, many communities. This not very well so backwards. This has changed. But that doesn't mean they're good at finding those who stepped up that we take it up and start to three, four.
I do have no policy in place, and my recollection, we've only done the flag twice in the last 2 years. It hasn't been something that's been a long-standing thing. But I just want to say that, you know, because there's not a flag there, I have to say that doesn't mean that we don't support it. You know, I think that's a very personal thing, and I think that when you say yes, 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 and then, you know, 1 year, you know, you have other things going on and you don't do that, that's pretty harsh to say that, you know, I'll leave it at that. But I'm gonna let our CAO speak to that too.
Thank you very much. I'll just introduce myself. My name is Joe McCulloch. I arrived here on the 3rd of June after the start of the celebration of Pride Month. And the flag was already got up in place. It was not actually, wouldn't say that it was lost, but it wasn't something that was brought to our attention. It hasn't actually been something that's physically been brought to our attention before the last couple of days. I would even say within the last week. That's not the excuse, and there shouldn't be excuses around this. This is a very important group. They should be taken very seriously. In order to do that, in order to give it the appropriate kindness and response, I have spoken to a number of the community. I've actually had a number of the community to reach out to me and ask the exact same questions that the public are asking me today. Why has this not been raised? Is this a concern? Is this a resentment? Is this something the council do not now support? And that's not the case. Where we find ourselves today is, unfortunately, in order for us to appropriately protect Pride, appropriately protect people's rights, we need to put a policy in place to make sure that they're protected appropriately. Because the issue and problem that I find, and it's not an excuse, and hopefully I've explained this in kindness, is that I find myself under fire that if we don't have a policy or procedures in place right now, is what's to stop other people and other parties coming in here tomorrow and asking us to start raising flags directly against what we stand up for inclusion and peace. And I need to make sure that those requests don't come forward to council, that those requests don't come forward to council in a negative way. they don't come forward in a negative way, that will have a massive impact. So I am reaching out to a number of members within the community. I have done that in both my personal time and professional time, and I will bring forward policy for council for consideration on flags themselves. So, and we will also include other groups, other professionals, in this community. So what flag goes up, what flag comes down, how we do it, what we're involved in, what neutrality looks like, are we not, are we involved? We need clarity on this for council, and this is not something that sets council aside. It's not council phoning me and saying, Joe, this is what we do, or this is not what we do. This lies within the administration to make sure that we do this respectfully and appropriately, and we will do that respectfully and appropriately. So unfortunately, I have the very hard and difficult job to sit down at this point in time and now start this process. And I would ask that everyone does that process both respectfully and kindly, and so that we can do this in the best possible way. Unfortunately, some of the information that I have had this week has not been done respectfully, and that's disappointing to see. So we want to do that, and we want to do it correctly. So I would urge everybody that has an opinion on this to reach out and for us to start part of this process so that we can do it respectfully. If anyone has any questions with it, I will be sitting in admin between 5 and 7:30 every Thursday, so that people can reach out, physically come and talk to me about this, and we are starting to play some of this information. So I'm sorry if I have upset or in some way caused a large risk, but I don't want to move forward in a direction that can be equally detrimental to both Pride itself and also other marginalised groups that we potentially need.
Is there a timeline you can commit to when you'll have this policy in place?
Is it part of administration to start looking at these procedures just right now? No. Should we start on it immediately after the next council meeting? Then we'll start looking at it tomorrow, yes, but we have a defined timeline on it. Until the letters and emails started coming in today, before that, there's been one person reaching out to me. Other than today, that I got a lot of emails with today, which is fantastic. That's absolutely fantastic. But before today, there was no emails. So it's the same as what we need to look at as we look at everything else within council, within process, within policy. Is we want to do it appropriately. We don't want to be doing this and then next week find that we have another smaller group coming in here demanding that flags are in place that would then causes more problems and causes more issues. But it's a very, very difficult position to sit in, and I'm not moving away from that position right now. I want to make sure that I do it appropriately and give people the appropriate measures of kindness to do it.
Can we possibly set a target to make sure that there's something in place for next year?
I would hope this will be in place well before next year. But it's not then something that's going to arrive, but I would assume that before next year would be very reasonable.
Anybody else that wishes to speak up to 2 minutes?
So about procedural question, I have a statement from the chamber on section 57. Would you like me to make that now or
On
just
section,
for the, on the 9.3?
no, so at that time, everybody will get a chance, when we get to the agenda item 9.2, everybody will get that. So is there anybody else that?
I am Father Darren. I'm the minister at the United and Anglican Church. I belong to an organisation which is guilty of genocide against people in this country. I myself was ordained into a church in England that doesn't support same-sex relationships or same-sex priests. So I mean that some people would think that I shouldn't speak. I think I should. I think there's 2 points. I think one of them is, if the flag was flown for the last 2 years without policy, that we could fly it this year as president,
and then start a policy after that.
But technically, this isn't about wokeness or politics, political parties, Canadian politics. It's not about Trump or anything. It's not about danger to our children. It's about one person. It's about one person who's grown up differently, who feels differently, and what they might see when they see that flag. That's what it's about. Why not? Why not? That's all it means. It's just love. One person. Think of the effect on one person.
I will move on to 4.1.
I'm sorry, I'll go. I missed part of it. 2 minutes.
2 minutes.
Time me. I've never done this, I might do it wrong. I don't know what Holly said, yeah, okay. Hi, I'm ready? Okay, so I teach at the high school. I've taught at all of the schools, both elementaries and the high school. Our schools have these flags, our schools have these stickers, our schools have GSA clubs, Gay Straight Alliances. Our schools have SOGI clubs. So we represent safe space for kids and for families. They're not mandatory. It's just showing a safe space and a welcoming space for all that enter the building. For these pride walks, for these pride parades, they again are not mandatory, but it's a solidarity as allies and showing a safe space for everyone. I know some families may not agree and therefore it's not mandatory, but I just feel like it's a way to show inclusion. And it's a way for our town to also show inclusion. And for kids who do attend the schools and families who do have kids who are queer, to feel like the city of Lillooet also sees them and acknowledges them. So we do that as a school. And we talk about community in schools, and I would love for our community to also be a space where kids feel welcome and safe, even if they are different. And that's what the flag represents. And that's as I know it as an ally. And it's beautiful to see. Thanks.
I will move on to 4.1. Somebody please move that the June 18th, 2024 regular council meeting agenda be adopted. Councilor Reed, Councilor DeBruin, Hager, Great. Any lead addition? So delegations, we have the Lillooet Chamber of Commerce to discuss Canada Day. Step up your left turn.
Thank you very much. I will keep this relatively brief. My name is Johannes. I'm with the Lillooet Chamber of Commerce. I've already sent a letter to council talking a bit about our reasoning, but we would like to ask for a contribution to Canada Day. Canada Day historically has been done every year in Lillooet and has a big tradition. And last year we were asked to continue that tradition as a chamber. To be perfectly honest, against my advice to my board, because I have concerns about what Canada is to the business community, Canada Day is. And so I was struggling with this idea of the chamber doing Canada Day, even though historically it's always done Canada Day. But of course, the way these things work is the board tells me what to do, and the board told me to do Canada Day. So we're doing Canada Day. And I'm quite excited. We really want to make sure that this year's Canada Day is a celebration for all of our communities and for walk-up passer, for everyone who comes by to celebrate Canada Day and celebrate other things that they would like to celebrate. This year, we're looking at expanding the traditional model a little bit. So we're going to do traditional hot dogs and cake, as Lillooet has known for a very long time, but we would like to add new elements to it to make it more inclusive, to make it to take a step towards reconciliation, and to address some of the conversations that happen around Canada Day, for better or for worse. And so so the chamber committed $1,000 to the event. The SLRB was able to commit $1,000 as well. And we would like to ask for contribution from the District of Lillooet as well. We do believe that it sends a statement that the district wants this event to happen, and we would like to continue it. But the reality is, event planning is expensive, takes a lot of time and a lot of effort. And as a chamber, we feel that by presenting a budget, we can show some of that work, and we'd like to ask the district to contribute. So that's it for me. Thank you very much. And
We sit down.
Yes.
Does anybody have any? Councillor Plant.
Can you explain a bit of the budget to us that you have put forward? I do have a couple questions.
yeah, absolutely. So there's two ways to go about doing this. When organizing an event, you can ask people to donate, but it's not a true donation because they still have to spend their time, they still have to spend materials, they still have to spend effort showing up and doing all those things. Or you can pay them an honorarium, if you will. And as a chamber, when I joined first, I made it very clear that when we engage with other communities and other service providers, we pay them. We will not pay the market rates. We will not pay them anything, dramatic, but there will be money that changes hands because I believe that is how economies should be working. In any case, so I have, our baseline assumption is everyone gets $200 to $300. Everyone who's in part of the event. Again, it's not a particularly great sum, but we would like to give $200 to the vendors who help us create food. This year, we would like to bannock, and we're working on salmon as well, a salmon barbecue. We would like to give money to each of the bands. We have Indigenous bands this year that are coming. 3 local bands plus the setup and all that jazz. An art show, we would like to pay artists to be there and entertain kids. The farmers market, we will close off the section in the back and ask the farmers market to show up. But again, we're actually paying for the vendors to be there, and hopefully that makes it worth their time because no one wants to spend a holiday selling things. As well as the kids corner, and then there's some rentals, advertising, and organization time for us as well, so we see some benefits too. So that's sort of and then I have the contributors there as well of the people that this money would go towards, because we're not keeping this. This would be money that goes towards the groups that help us put this on.
So I just have a question. You got here for organization of $400 going to yourself. So
Yep.
you're donating $1,000, but then you're taking 400 back. So that doesn't make sense.
Yes, so what this $400 is essentially my employees' time to organize everybody. So that's what this $400 is about, right? My employees has worked really hard to coordinate with people, set everything up. And that to us is also not free, right? And so that $400 is essentially, yes. So it is part of our contribution to organize this event is our staff time.
And then you've got here for advertising. So that would be $300 to pay to the Bridge River Lillooet News. Okay. So, and then tables and tent rentals. Has that already been organized through the community hub?
No,
No.
not yet.
Okay.
So that's, we're waiting. As you can see, this budget currently assumes $2,900 for event costs. We don't know if we're going to get that last third from the district. So we might have to cut this budget. But of course, I show up with a vision and then all of you guys tell me if that vision is acceptable or not. But this is the budget if the district contributes fully. If it does not, then some things have to go include, And so some of these we haven't finalized yet, pending final funding.
Through the mayor. So in that case, the district, if we were able to do that in administration, we could possibly take on the advertising and seeing about, because the rec center does have tables and chairs, and having the rec center supply the tables and chairs plus our employee time to set them up, bring them back as well. So that could be something that could be put into to bring down the costs.
Absolutely, absolutely. It absolutely could be. Yeah. Yeah, there's no, we like to start by asking for a cash contribution because we think it's a way to show commitment to the event. But there's lots of in-kind ways to do it. Yeah, it's at the end of the day, we as an organization need to make sure that organizing this event makes sense, and we would like to continue organizing this event, but essentially, you know, if it's not worth our time, then we might have to find another community or organization that's willing to take it on. But essentially, yes, we can absolutely talk about in-kind as well. No problem.
So my question is that Bilo has historically put on the entire thing, and they never charge, but I did speak to Bilo this year, and they're donating 800 hot dogs. They're donating all the pot, all the water, all the cake. They're bringing the barbecues. They are donating the workers, and they will have tents over them. So, but I don't see them on this list
Yeah.
for any.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this year, so we actually talked to Bilo about this too, and we said, what I actually said to them is maybe we can get some really nice hot dogs and we can pay you for that. Bilo has a budget for this kind of stuff, for community contributions, right? So they would not accept any of the funding. This year, Bilo is not able to provide the staff, so we have to provide the staff. Yeah, they usually provide, I believe, 5 to 7 staff members for the event. This year, there I believe Bob told me maximum 2, but we're still trying to figure out what that looks like. Yeah, so essentially, my idea was to pay Bilo as well, but he said, you know, we got a budget for that.
Maybe we could look at volunteers, because I know I volunteered, I know Councillor Francis volunteered, I know both of our husbands volunteered.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's a lot of people out there that, especially because it's Canada Day, that would volunteer, that don't need to pay,
That's
so.
right. Yeah, and the reality is, Mara and myself will volunteer. My board will volunteer. The people, there will be
Yes.
people. That's why there's no
Yes.
people line in here, because we're not paying people. We're paying organizations for providing services. Essentially.
Anybody have any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, is there any new business arising from the minutes? None? Okay, correspondence. I asked, does anyone wish to remove one or more of the 9 correspondence items under 8.1 of the agenda? I will start by pulling number 4 and number 5. Anybody else like to pull anything?
I would like to pull number 2, please,
Number 2,
and number 3.
2 and 3. Anybody else? Okay, then 2, 3, 4, and 5 will be pulled. Will somebody please move that the remainder of the correspondence items be received as information? Councillor Weed, Councillor McNary, all in favor, carried. Those will be moved to 13.2 and on. Okay. Okay, 9.1, 2023 annual municipal.
Can we be available to talk to that? Because this is mostly Joy's report. Hi, Goni.
Hi, thank you. Through the mayor. So this is kind of the final financial reporting that you get to hear from me about this year. Yay. It's a culmination sort of everything that you've seen, received, approved so far, the annual audited financial statements, excuse me, the SOFI report. There's a number of requirements from the community charter, including council's municipal objectives and their status. As well, we submit this report to the GFOA annually for the Canadian Award for Financial Reporting. So they have their own requirements. So that's why you see a lot of the graphs and additional information in there. Excuse me, as part of the legislative requirements of the community charter, council is required to consider both this report as well as questions and submissions from the public. I have not received any questions or submissions from the public nor council, with the exception of thank you, Councillor Flan, for a few notes on some typos and formatting errors that don't change any of the content of the report. So I'll just make those changes and incorporate them into the final version. As there were no questions, submissions from the public or council, I am recommending that council receive and approve the annual municipal report for the year ended December 31st, 2023. And it will then be, the final version will be made public and submitted to the GFOA for the Canadian Award for Financial Reporting again. Thank you.
Thank you, Joni. Good work. Good work. Does anybody have any questions or comments? No? Okay. Will somebody please move that the council consider the District of Lillooet's 2023 annual municipal report in conjunction with submissions and questions from the public, and that council approve the 2023 annual municipal report as presented. Councillor De Bruin, Councillor McNary. Any further questions? No? All in favor? Carried. Again, good job, John. Okay, 9.2. Item 9.2. Notice of title recommendations. The municipality is responsible for ensuring buildings, renovations, or additions to comply with BC building codes. Inspections sometimes identify deficiencies, and sometimes renovations or additions occur without a permit. When deficiencies are identified or building occurs without a permit, the district building official works with the property owner to bring the property into compliance. This cooperation can go on indefinitely. When further work from the building official becomes unproductive, a recommendation to file a notice on title may be made to council. Zara Rockwall, the District of Lillooet's building official, will provide the background information tonight. Mayor and council will then address each property individually. Zara will introduce each property, identify the issues, communication history, and work undertaken to achieve compliance. Council may ask there are questions. The property owners or their delegate will have the opportunity to address council with a total of 5 minutes per property. This will be conducted in a civil manner. All proponents will be given a reminder at the 4-minute mark. So Mr. Judlum will notify speakers when they have 1 minute remaining. All questions will be directed to the mayor only. Council will take the comments from the building official and the property owner or delegate as information. Deliberations on the motion related to each property will follow. The procedure is long overdue. Ignoring this process can lead to liability for the municipality that has court precedent. We expect properties to address major, minor, health and safety deficiencies in the coming months. We look forward to working with each property owner. Notices will be removed when compliance has been reached. Okay, having said that, I'm going to pass it over to Zach to begin.
Here.
Yes, please.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm Zara Rockwall, the Building Inspector for the District of Lillooet. I'm prepared a presentation. look at it over here.
Yeah, that's fine.
So as you're saying, to the building department and the district, we're responsible to ensure that all buildings meet the DC building code. The notice on title is an enforcement tool, so there's, of course, always compliance, security fines, ticketing, other things. So this is just one tool that you can use for enforcement. It helps to allow anybody who's potentially going to purchase the property to be aware that there's some sort of issue with building bylaw. But most of the properties get the permits, everything goes fine. It's a straightforward process. There's always a few that don't go as planned. And since I've started to, like, I've closed 33 permits, so 21 of them, like, expired building permits, and 12 that were problematic files. So I have been able to get quite a bit of compliance in a few months that I've been here. What's the next slide? So we can do the notice on title when there's been a stop work or order posted, construction deficiencies have been noted, covering construction without inspections, a permit has expired. There's a variety of other reasons, but these are the top ones. So the corporate officer has advised all of the property owners to register letter of this meeting. Some of the registered letters were returned unclaimed. We did do our community charter obligation. There is also an option for remedial action, so that is something we can do if council decides is to put some time frame and conditions on work that needs to be done to bring a property into compliance or board it up or demolish, whatever that council feels the right way to go. And if they don't do the remedial action, the district staff can go ahead and do that work for them and then invoice them and we launch their taxes. So, next slide, please. The removal of the notice is really straightforward. Once the property comes into compliance, they get their permits, their inspections, the building inspector will just then tell the corporate officer it's in compliance. There's a $500 fee in our bylaws to pay, and it's just, it would be done in a few days. I think it's quite straightforward. Next slide, please. So staff would like the council to consider, we have been working with the property owners for quite some time. Myself and the previous building officials, like long history on these. We want to make sure the potential buyers are aware of any issues. There was a court case, Kamloops lost a court case because they did not put a notice on the title, and the purchaser bought the property unaware that there was issues, and that property owner did make a lawsuit against Kamloops, and Kamloops did not win that lawsuit. Just keep that in mind, a precedent. The property owner, a reputation for not enforcing compliance with the district's. So it's just kind of a reputation. I think a lot of people in the community just think I don't have to. And just a lot of time goes into doing these things, and the staff time and resources could be directed at more productive type of work. Next slide, please. So this is the first property in no particular order. So this is 189 Main Street, and so there was some issues brought forward by the fire inspector, and when we looked at the aerial view, we could see there was quite a few additions built to this property without any building permits. We did receive in late 2022, August, I believe, report from a code consultant, and the code consultant recommended that the additions be removed because they were not code compliant. And then later that month, we did receive of intent from the architect to say that building permits would be applied for before the end of 2022, and now we're into 2024 and we still have not received a building permit application.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I'm just going to get this on the table so that we can ask questions, and then I'll have a representative come up for this property. I would like to start by saying additional correspondence has been received and reviewed by council, staff, Laura, and myself before making this decision. So will somebody please move that the notice on title be placed on property at 189 Main Street, legally described as Lot B, DL 1588, Lillooet District, Plan KP 27685, PID 004-690-630 pursuant to section 57 the community charter and that enforcement file be closed. Councillor Weed, Councillor De Bruin. So is there somebody that would like to speak to 189 Main Street? Please step up to the lectern.
Okay, my name is Andrew. Before you begin, this is the timing thing that we'll be using. It starts at 5 minutes, it counts down, it will slowly, erode as your time disappears. That'll also give you a heads up when you're at 1 minute.
Understood. My name is Andrew Novikowski of Arcadian Architecture. I am the agent for Mr. Sam Hassan, the owner of 0784852 BC Limited, which is Castle Hardware Store. We've done, together with the code consultants, a proposal for upgrading this property to BC building code 2018, some 2 years ago. But we were not given a green light by the owner to apply for a building permit. I received his go-ahead only on Wednesday last week. Now, we have the drawings based on 2018 building code ready. Code consultants have the report also based on 2018 building code. So now we will have to rework drawings and the reports. There are minor differences in quotations, numbers of sentences of the building code, and so on. And we can apply for the building permit probably within 2 or 3 weeks' time. My humble request would be to not send this project, this property, to place a notice on title, because Mr. Hassan is having some health problems. He's treated in the Lower Mainland, and he has a good intention to really do something about it this time. So as I say, drawings may be ready within 2 to 3 weeks' time, and we would be willing and ready to apply for a building permit. Whether it will be placed on, whether the notice of title will be placed or not, is up to the council. Thank you.
Just before you sit down, do you have any questions? Councillor McNary.
Is True Value for sale? You know?
Even if I knew, I would not be in a position to answer this question. Okay? Because I was not authorized by the owner at this time. So whatever he tells me, I can tell him about it and say anything about it. Thank you.
Okay. Going to call the question. Everybody in favor of putting a notice on title on 189 Main Street, is your number? Carried.
The next one is 1555 Garden Street. This building permit was issued for a single family dwelling on crawl space. And when the building inspector went to do the final inspection, he noticed there was a second level had been constructed that doesn't show on the approved drawings. And the stair did not meet code in regards to the width of the stairs, and some no handrail was installed, and a few other little things, but for the most part, it's the stairs in the second level that do not comply to code, and so this was replaced.
Thank you. Okay, I'll get a first and a seconder to get it on the table so that we can discuss. Will somebody please move that the notice on title be placed on the property at 1555 Garden Street, legally described as Lot 2, townsite of Lillooet, Suburban Plan 32375, PIP 003474909, pursuant to Section 57 of the Community Charter, and that the enforcement file be closed. Councillor Weed, seconded by Councillor Plan. Okay, is there somebody to speak to property at 1555 Garden?
I can speak to it a little bit. Dave Bell built the house. I put the roof on it. I'm somewhat familiar with list of complaints.
Sorry, 1 second. Sorry, all the things. It needs to be the property owner. So it needs to be the property owner that talks to it, not a contract to you, the property owner.
I'm not the property owner, but I know something about it.
But do we have express permission?
He's a representative. I'm a representative.
He's a representative that has already spoke directly to it and has the express permission from the property owner. The property owner, and I'm maybe splitting hairs on it, the property owner needs to either get permission to be here or to actually assign it, to assign that occupation over to somebody. For example, the owner of the previous application that we got for the notice that we looked at had reached out to the registered architect. Gave that, that's why you've seen him not over and above answering questions on it. There's a bit of process involved in this. We need to make sure. I'm not decrying it, and that's not the point to it.
So what, I should bring a letter from her or something?
Well, typically what we would do is, we have asked this previously, so what happens is staff reach out to the property owner and ask if they want to come, or if they have a representation, or if they have somebody to come and physically represent them. We don't have express permission from the property owner. You're not speaking on behalf of the property owner. You're speaking as a member of the public. So we need to just be aware of where we are with that as well. So respectfully, it's not something that we would allow to happen, because you're talking about a property without that property owner's permission. And unfortunately, that's something that we didn't prevent.
She knows I'm here. Anyways, I think building code's too bloody strict anyways. I can't speak.
Sorry about that, council, but where we find ourselves to go. Fortunately, it can allow people to speak out with regards to their property, unless they have either applied to us, and even if you can have the permission from the landowner itself wants to reach out to us, then by all means, that's part of the process of trying to take it through and respect as well. So there are a lot of people that have reached out to us to allow other people to speak on their behalf. Process, but unfortunately, sorry about that.
That wasn't clear prior to this meeting.
Appreciated, but it should have been clear then. Otherwise, I don't know why that would not have been made clear. It should have been made clear in the letter that we send out for notifications. That should be clear.
As a point of order, the mayor did say that everyone could speak during 9.3.
Yes,
So the mayor paid
I
for-
appreciate that, and I think that's a good point. But when we're speaking specifically to a specific property, if we are not given that permission expressly from the property owner, then the difficulty then becomes is who is speaking to that, and if somebody hasn't given clarity to that, then there's can be severe. We don't want confusion along the line. I see that the gentleman is now left. Sorry about that.
So I apologize too. I did mean that whoever had the property that in question was speak. I didn't think that there would be other people speaking for other people's properties unless we already knew about it. That's what we did. So,
If we can, here, if I can have Sarah just read out the line that was in the property owners requesting letter.
This is the registration, the notification about tonight's meeting. It says, please be advised that this matter will be placed before the District of Lillooet Council at the regular council meeting on June 18th at 5 p.m. in this location. At this time, council will consider the recommendation of the building official, and should you wish to appear before council, you will be given a reasonable opportunity to be heard. And under the community charter, the property owner is given the right to a conversation with council and state their side of the story, but it's not really an open public meeting where all members of the public can have.
That's why we were discussing previously with an architect and brought forward, he had to have permission from the landowner or the architect to come and speak on their behalf, because they are not able to do that. Or they would then submit a letter to either the bed or be considered as their own contest.
Well, I have one with this property, you know, it seems like with the hand railing and the stairs, that they might seem like small items, but in fact, having the upstairs, the stairs not having a permit for it, is that right, Claire? There was no permit for the stairs themselves, which meant there was no permit for the entire second floor. And I just want to reinstate how dangerous that can be for somebody else to buy that property. And if somebody else were to buy that property and they wanted to make an adjustment on the top floor, and they came to council or they came to the district office to get a permit, we said, well, actually, you cannot do that because the stairs haven't been approved. There was no permit for the top. This new property owner now is facing thousands of dollars, and he's saying to us, the district of Lillooet, why didn't you tell us? Why didn't you put something on this property to let me know as a new buyer that I'm going to be responsible for this? And this is why we're doing it. And it might seem like a harsh thing, but if we don't do these, then the new property owners, there's gonna be a whole different set of people out here that are angry because we didn't do that. And it is our job to protect people of this community and those moving into our community. We want to have a good, safe community for people to live, for people to thrive. And you know, this is, nobody at these tables wants to be here tonight, but the five of us took an oath to be accountable and financially responsible to this community. Having said that, I'm going to call the question. All in favor? Carried.
Okay, so the third one is 529 Fraser View Street, and this property is listed for sale. So the realtor and property manager have sent me some pictures recently, so the works are still completed. You see that's like we got a week ago or so. So this addition had a building permit, but the permit expired back in 2023, and they've done quite a bit of work past the last inspection. So we've not done a framing inspection, but we can see that they've already insulated and drywalled a good part of it. Back in 2019, we did extend it for a 2-year period, and then we were given another extension back in 2021. So this permit has been around for quite some time, so since 2019. And yes, it's just the work has been complete, and so they've done the work without getting inspections along the way, and it is listed.
Thank you. Okay. Need somebody to move that the notice on title be placed on property 529 Fraser View Street, legally described as the easterly one half of lot 10, block 7, measured along the northerly and southerly boundaries there by the full depth of said lot, Township of Lillooet, PID 007860510, pursuant to Section 57 of the Community Charter, and that the enforcement file be closed. Councillor McNary, Councillor DeBruin. Is there anybody here, the owner or delegate, that would like to speak to this property? Okay. And I will call the question. All in favor? Carried.
All right, so recommendation number 4, this is 340 Mitchell Road. There is quite a few modular homes, manufactured homes have been placed on this property with additions on them. There's also a addition, this is the addition to the main dwelling. Stop work order was placed on this in June of 2022. And when the building inspector went back in July of 2022, the stop work order had been removed. Additional work had been conducted. So there's been quite a bit of correspondence sent to the property owner to let them know that they do need to apply for permits. And the information I've sent out recently, I've received no response. And this is one of the ones that the registered letter was unclaimed and sent back to the district.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I need somebody to move that notice on title be placed on property 340 Mitchell Road, legally described as Lot 1, DL 4704, Lillooet District, Plan 25433, PID 005513944, pursuant to Section 57 of the Community Charter, and that enforcement file be closed. Councillor Plan, second by Councillor Reed. Okay, so is the owner or approved delegate here to speak to property 340 Mitchell Road? Okay, seeing none, is there any questions or comments on this property? Okay, I'll call the question. All in favor? Carried.
Recommendation number 5 is 2000 Highway 12. In this instance, there was this overall building constructed back in 2019. So this was erected without a building permit. So a development permit was issued in 2020. And then we did receive a building permit application in April of 2020, but that was not completed. There was a lot of information missing. And we do have a building permit application in right now, but we are still waiting for the provincial approval on the site contamination remediation plan. So at this point in time, I cannot issue a building permit until that comes from the province. I believe there's something here.
Okay, thank you. Okay, just get it on the table. Somebody please move that notice on title be placed on property 2000 Highway 12, legally described as the west half of the west of District Lot 1295, Lillooet District, except plans 20212, KAP 50344, and H13943, PID 012014451, pursuant to Section 57 the Community Charter, and the enforcement file be closed. Councillors Plan, Councillor Reed. Okay, is the owner here to speak to this property?
There is I am very hard of hearing and I've had an operation on my daughter is going to speak.
No, actually, we have an agent authorization form with Dan Flash from Dawson Construction. Who's joined the meeting.
So, and a separate notice as well after, we can separate that out as well and give the proponent and the owner or an owner's representative an additional 5 minutes to follow up. If you have any additional questions after we've heard from, after from the vendor itself, if that's okay. Just to get that separation on it as well. Thank you.
Okay, so we have Dawson on the line.
Yeah,
We do. Yes, thank you very much. Good evening, everybody. My name is Dan Pellish. I'm with Dawson Road Maintenance, Strategic Manager, Stakeholder Relations. I first became aware of this. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I first became aware of this permit issue on April 15th, 2024. I am aware of some past correspondence from Richard Diamond dated October 3rd, 2023. That was an email sent to two Dawson employees who were no longer with the company at that time. So they weren't able to actually see the information in the email. I'm also aware of another email that was sent to the same two Dawson employees from a Christina Timms on April 12th. And fortuitously, it was also CC'd to a Ministry of Transportation operations manager who picked up on the fact that neither of these individuals worked for the company anymore, and forwarded this email on to a current employee at DRM, Dawson Road Maintenance. That's when basically I became aware of this issue on April 15th, as I said. And when I was reading the email, I was under the impression in the email that the only matter that was outstanding was the requirement for a site contamination release notice that was required from the Ministry of Environment. At that point, I immediately hired an environmental consultant to initiate an application. And then I was subsequently informed on an email through Zara, the representative for the District of Lillooet, on April 25th that the permit had in fact expired. And I was then asked to submit a new permit application with a number of requirements. And all of those requirements I was able to find, and I resubmitted those back to Zara on, it was around May 10th. It was actually on May 10th. One of the things that I was finding as I was trying to search for the documents to meet the requirements of the permit was that unfortunately some people that had been dealing with this issue in the past had since left the company. I think some of the correspondence through the chaos of the pandemic unfortunately kind of got a little misplaced, and my sincerest apologies for that. Once I submitted the application to Zara on May 10th, I also then found out the environmental application required a new permit number. So I wasn't able to get that sent off right away. I did subsequently receive that permit number from Zara on May 13th. As soon as I got the permit number, I submitted the application for the site contamination release notice to the Ministry of Environment right away. Unfortunately, this is the only, from what I understand, this is the only remaining document that's required to satisfy the requirement of the permit. Unfortunately, what I'm being told by our consultant is that this process through the Ministry of Environment can take several weeks for them to administer, just based on normal queue backlogs. So unfortunately, that's the only outstanding issue that's basically waiting on the Ministry of Environment to respond to at this point. So I'm anxiously and hopefully waiting for that response to come through in the near future, at which time hopefully we can get the permit application documents satisfied.
Great, thank you. Is there any questions from council? Councillor DeBruin.
This salt shed was built by Dawson in 2019, correct?
I believe so, yes. I've only been with the company for a year, so I might not have some of the background information.
And did Dawson, as a community member or business, pull a building permit to build such a salt shed?
That I'm not aware of at this point. I'd have to look into that.
Then I'll answer it for you. It was built without a building permit, and I find that for a business that is quite active in our area to be a gross oversight. And I understand that currently there's a lot of work that's being done in order to remedy the situation, but such oversight is not taken lightly, and the provincial approval is not that we're currently waiting on is not immaterial, and has to do with contamination, and a proper building permit at the time would have prevented all of that. So while I appreciate Dawson's haste to rectify the situation, this is a file that dates back to 2019, and good business matters should have been taken into consideration at the time.
Definitely, I agree.
Councillor McNary.
I was in the understanding when we put one of these orders on the property that it gives the owner some ammunition against
In this case, it would be Dawson. And if we don't do that, there isn't really any feedback.
Yeah,
That's
maybe staff can help us out with that. Just a better.
Thank you, through the mayor, because it's already been a tense enough council meeting, let's maybe just exhale here and just kind of understand the importance of a section 57. Section 57s are something that we staff would put as a notice, physical notice on something's title. And the reason for doing that is basically just either try and bring compliance back into play or then to notify people that were purchasing another property. It's also to work alongside landowners and owners to make sure that they don't have issues further down the line. Section 57 can be removed, and it's a very simple and easy task to have it removed. So once this permit comes through, and I appreciate the sentiments as well from Dawson, and I appreciate that you taking your time out of your day to phone in and to give us the background and what we have in this situation just now. What we're trying to do here is bring compliance into play. Now, all of these recommendations that we bring for council here today have also been through a legal review as well. And these are the basic steps that we take to make sure that we bring compliance into place. So although we may put a notice on title, the process for removing a notice from title is a $500 fee, and it is removed and it is never seen again on that title. So I appreciate the fact that Dawson is bringing this forward to us. I appreciate the fact that they're working on it. I appreciate the fact that we're looking at what we're providing for as part of the provincial permitting, and we welcome that, and that's fantastic. We need to go through the steps and stages that we do, and then we will also assist with Dawson and with every member that is on here and each landowner that is on here to help them get that notice back on the title. So we want to reach out. We are reaching out. We're actively reaching out to gain compliance in order to try and work with landowners. And then after that, we will get to remove that title with you and work alongside you. That is exactly what we're trying to do here. So although it may seem slightly bureaucratic and legalistic to the approach, there is a requirement for us to do this. And it's a very, very important part of that. So I look forward to the permit coming through and for Zara to do her final inspection and to sign off on it, which she has already done on 30 other projects so far. Thank you very much for your time. We can also offer over the landowner the opportunity or representative.
Thank you. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, through the mayor, I just wanted to say that I appreciate that you started a new job a year ago and none of this information was given to you. And I appreciate that the landowner leased to Dawson in good faith. So I would hope that Dawson would be a reputable enough company that when this needs to come off, would either reimburse or pay the landowner the cost of having it removed. Thank you.
Would the landowner or delegate like to?
I think Dan has something more to add.
Okay.
Yeah, I just want to thank you very much for that, and definitely we'll make restitution for any cost to the landowner. And I just want to let you know that we're in agreement with this, that this is the process.
Thank you. I appreciate the comments.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, so all in favor?
I can.
All right, number 6, 129 Moran Place. This one had a building permit that was issued in 2018. And it was a storage building with a mezzanine, but when the building inspector went there, noticed that it was not a mezzanine anymore and it had changed into a storage. So there's some issues now with exiting, fire separations, and we would need the permit drawings themselves to be revised and a full client report. And so there was an issue of the building being under the hydro line, but I did go by there today and the hydro line has been removed, so that issue is not relevant anymore. And, but yes, just the not being built to the drawings.
Here.
Okay, let's get it on the table. There was additional correspondence and it has been received and reviewed by council staff or myself before making this decision. And I just want everybody to know, like, we have poured through these, each of them. So will somebody please move that a notice on title be placed on property 129 Moran Place, legally described as Lot 2, District Lots 1116 and 1588, Lillooet District Plan 35997 PID 002355281 pursuant to Section 57 of the Community Charter, and that the enforcement file be closed. Councillor Reid, Councillor Flan, and is the owner here to speak to it?
Okay.
Okay.
So I have a hearing disability, so whoever designed this building didn't think about old people. I'll take some responsibility. Mayor and Council, thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak with you. I'm Bob McCabe, represent the shareholders of Lillooet Builders World, the owner of 129 Moran Place. I've been a resident of this community for 54 years. I know the time is short today, and I will give you the highlights of what has become a long, long story. It's important that you hear our side of the issues raised. Although Timber Mart is in the building supply business, we have no in-depth knowledge of the requirements of BC building codes. We have relied on our own consultants and the District of Lillooet to ensure compliance. There are 4 relevant building permits that have been issued by the District of Lillooet for improvements to our property. In each case, we took all the steps required by the district bylaws and received the necessary permits. In 2010, 2016, 2017, the district completed the final inspections on the 3 projects and issued occupancy permits, which include words to the fact each of the improvements are complete and in compliance with BC building codes. The 4th permit was mainly for an engineered roof over a storage area to protect our inventory from the weather. It was issued on December 10th, 2018. The final inspection was called for us in January 2019, now more than 5 years ago. Much has happened since then. You have in your materials a report from an unresident building inspector dated March 28th, 2024. Best of my knowledge, she's never attended 129 Moran Place, and there are some inaccuracies in the report. The report states that the storage building is located under BC Hydro power lines. This is incorrect. The lines were removed approximately a month and a half before the report was written. The transmission lines were removed after work done by our solicitor determined BC Hydro did not have right-of-way over our property. We are currently in negotiations with BC Hydro to recover $17,000 expenses related to the power line issue. Lillooet Timber Mart has always considered this issue to be the main reason for refusal to grant occupancy. The contravention of building regulations document states building construction under permit BP 161271 was done without a permit. No inspection was requested. This is incorrect. All work was done under permit with final occupancy being granted on April 11, 2017. Building permit BP 171289 was issued on December 1st, 2017. Final inspection was granted on July 2nd, 2018. I'm going to skip ahead because I'm running out of time. I want to be clear that I or anyone else in Builders World is stating that the buildings are fully compliant with building codes. We don't have the knowledge or expertise to do so. What I am stating is that on 3 separate occasions, the building department and District of Lillooet, who have the knowledge and expertise, issued signed occupancy permits, specifically verifying improvements constructed under the first 3 permits were in compliance with the building codes and bylaws. We also, after due process, received the 4th building permit to construct the engineered roof over the storage area. The work was completed 5 years ago. It is worthy to note that if the contents of the building official report are taken as true, then it stands as an admission that the work of the building department is being done improperly, and the district must take some responsibility. In these circumstances, we feel the most equitable solution described in option 2 on page 8 states that notice on title is not registered and the building department file be closed. If you choose not to do this, we resign to the notice on title. It's been a long, disturbing 5 years with no resolution. At one point, the district planner at the time informed us that our business license could be revoked. Our shareholders, along with our staff, want to be free of significant stress resulting from these issues. We recognize, as I'm sure you do, that any future improvements requiring a building permit at 129 Moran Place will bring these issues back into consideration and they will be resolved. Thanks for your time.
Wow, that is good. 5 minutes. I'm impressed. Okay, I am gonna ask, Clara, if you will, to kind of clear the, okay, muddy water there. So I guess my question would be, is are like BP.
Point of order, and do we wish to invite Mr. McCabe up to sit closer to, so that he has the ability to actually hear what is going on?
Appreciate that.
Got something.
Would you like to move up here so you can hear what's going on?
How about I sit on this thing right here?
Yeah, I want that thing.
I read your lips.
Yeah, so I guess my clarification questions are final inspections with the occupancy approval versus where we are today.
Exactly, so there was 2 permits from one from 2016 and one from 2017 that were given final approvals, but there were concerns. The new building official came in that they were compliant to the PC building code. And under the PC building code actually says the property owner is responsible to ensure compliance to the code. So these issues were brought forward to the property owner back in 2021 to address it. Yes, there's some issues here. And nothing has been done. And then in 2018, the new building permit, which he's talking about with the storage building, it did have some mezzanines shown on the drawings, but these mezzanines were not constructed as per the approved drawings. So now they're too large. And they jumped this building into being over 600 square meters, which is now a Part 3 building.
How much is too large?
Yeah, explained by this, because I, stepped into the,
Building is not over 600.
okay, but without the proper drawings, we've been asking for it for a long time. It's hard for us to determine that because we can't do it like proper plan review, so it's all speculation on the site. I know we did get something from the structural engineer, but that only addressed structural. So an architect would need to be giving us more details on the BC building code analysis or even building design if it's less than 600 square meters that says this is a 1-story or a 2-story building, how they determine that, what the exiting requirements are, what guards need to be put on there, what stairs need to be in place for exiting. We haven't received any of that information.
Okay, so what's the first step?
getting the permit and getting somebody in there to look at it?
Yeah, because this building permit is now expired at 2018, building permit expired in 2020, so they would need to make a new building permit application to show how it is constructed. With a full building code analysis, showing how the exiting, how the fire separations and everything meet code. Yeah.
Cost is about $60,000. Back.
Okay.
I think our hands are kind of tied here.
So, all question, all in favor?
Purpose level. This is an expired building permit. The building permit for this house was issued in 2010. Then we did issue a second building permit in 2015 to allow them to finish the house, and that permit has also expired in 2017. There are some issues because the septic system is not adequately sized for this size of dwelling. They do not have a valid homeowner protection office documentation, and for whatever reason, we do not have any building plans on file. So we have asked them to apply for a new building permit to complete this work by providing those three things for our files.
Table, will somebody please move that notice on title be placed on property 341 Hollywood Crescent, legally described as lot 41, district lot 162, Lillooet District, Plan KP 10764, PID 009537678 pursuant to section 57 of the community charter, and that the enforcement file be closed. Councilor Reed, seconded by Councilor Plan. Okay, is the owner or approved delegate here to speak to property at 341 Hollywood Crescent? Any comments or questions? Okay, I will question. All in favor? For the 369 Park Drive, they noticed that they had built a rear deck at the back in 2022. We have been notified on several occasions that they do need to have building permit. And we did get an application in 2022 as well, but the application is under the bylaw expire within 6 months. They are not, all the information is not received. Do not have a building permit in place for the set. Okay, on the table, will somebody please move that notice on title be placed on the property 369 Park Drive, legally described as lot 2, district lot 1588, Lillooet District, Plan KP 7041, PID 010029, pursuant to section 57 of the charter, and that the enforcement file be Councilor Mary, seconded by Councilor Reed. Is the owner or approved delegate here to speak to 369? I will call the question, all in favor? Right. Okay. Moving on.
Next one, 45 Station Hill. There was a building permit issued in 2019 for some foundation structural repairs, and that permit expired in 2021. There have been no inspections conducted. We did place a stop work order on this property in October 2022, and let them know that the stop work order had been placed and that they needed to get a building permit. We did get confirmation from the owner in December of 2022 that he would apply for a building permit for that further works in a month or two. Right now, the spacing of this building is open and not stored safely, and it looks like a change of use, and it's a little concerned that they're using this building like this. But with some legal opinion today, we are recommending changing our recommendation for remedial action to just placing the notice on title and exploring the options of remedial action, which I believe is option number 4 in the report.
Okay. Will somebody please move that a notice of title be placed on the property at 45 Station Hill Road, legally described as Lot C, Lillooet District, Plan KP 15458, PID 008820384, pursuant to Section 57 of the Community Charter. And that the building department staff investigate the option of a remedial action pursuant to Section 73 of the Community Charter process and report back to council prior to October 1st, 2024. Make that motion. Councilor De Bruin, Councilor Plan. Is the owner or approved delegate for 45 Station Hill Road here? Is there questions or comment? All right, I'll call the question. All in favor? Oh, sorry. Councilor Weed.
Through the mayor, I just, and maybe it's out of order, and if it is, you say so, because I really don't know. Councilor McNary came in and said they were working on this. And I'm curious as to whether there was a permit issue today or anything, so what does that?
We can post another stop work order in 5. Wasn't trying to throw you the last for any, I'm concerned that there.
No, well, I'm just concerned that if there, if there's no permit and nothing has been added and they're down there looking at it.
Thank you, through the mayor. So again, this is what we see are owners, or we see owners, or we see construction personnel typically going back in to try and remedy something, but we do need permits in place. If we don't have permits in place, this is how we end up in the junction that we find ourselves in today. I believe it's stop working on this one, the building currently.
It was one place on it, but it had to be removed by not the building.
So when we put a stop working on this on, the only other person that can remove that is the person that placed it on it. So again, if we now find that people are now going in and trying to do remedial work to it, then we just compound the issue and problem that we have here. So again, that's why we have our due diligence in running through and making sure that our any qualified building inspector, who's a level 3 building inspector, actually goes through and looks at what we're doing and what the construction is actually going ahead. So if they're not doing that, then again, another stop work on one in place, and then we would move it forward. Interestingly enough, we brought this forward to council with much more severe actions to be taken on thereafter. And through a legal discussion with council and staff, we have decided to, again, give another 45 days to either bring into compliance apply for the permits, work with us, work with what we need to try and do, work with, see what we can actually help with, or the next step and stage after this is then fencing, boarding, and making it safe. Now, that's obviously not the route that we need to go down, it's not the route we want to go down, but again, in 45 days, if we've not started this process, then the next steps and stages then go towards us physically going out, putting up fences, making sure that potentially children or other people don't end up underneath this building where we're aware of an infraction. So council ran through this with us several times and had a lot of discussion about it. So through legal counsel, we decided to basically just come back one more step, give another 45 days over and above it, which has been done time and time again. Place a section 57, which is the notice on title. Put that on it just so that we and the landowner and everyone else is aware this is what the application looks like. And then ask them again, once we ask them again, come back, let's try and do this properly. And then we will going. And unfortunately, we have a very dangerous building in town that we don't want to see somebody getting injured in. And we have that responsibility, and we also have the responsibility to put these notices on time. So that answers the question. But if there's continual progression without permits, that doesn't work very well. So, for example, when we're looking at the previous case that we discussed about the overhead power cables, that may be the only object that we need to look at, but an inspector needs to inspect it. We're not there, perfect, tick, and then we take it off. And there's a process that we go through that might seem, again, bureaucratic, but there's a reason that we need to do this, and it's to do with our liability. And we want to make sure that we're doing things properly. Because again, what we've heard on a number of occasions tonight is potentially, and I'm not blaming people, but potentially those steps and stages may not have been followed previously. And if that's the case, then we need to make sure that we're compliant with it. So we're walking the walk as well here. And all of the business owners and all of the landowners and all of the leasees that are working with these other proponents, we will, from staff's side of it and from council's side of it and our legal support, will make sure that we work with the landowners. That's what we are dedicated to try and do. But we also need to make sure that if somebody comes in and buys a property with all of these non-compliances and all of these items that have not been addressed, we cannot in good conscience allow people to get into the community and buy homes and businesses that are outstanding items. It's a hard one to take, but it's a difficult conversation.
I wish to amend the motion because I understood that the motion was read as October 1st, 2024, and I would like to amend it to read August 2nd, 2024, about 45 days.
Okay, so does somebody second his motion? Okay, so, or the amendment. So we'll vote on the amendment. All in favor of changing the date from October 1st, 2024 to August 2nd, 2024? All in favor? Carried. Okay. Any further questions or comments? Okay. All in favor of the amended, of the motion for the amendment? Favor?
Great, last one. This is 545 Main Street. There was a building permit issued for replacing a deck in 2022. When the building inspector went onto the property, he noticed that there was the addition of the stairs. And that is not shown on the building permit approved drawings, and there are some building code compliance issues with the stairs. So that needs to be dealt with. And then a few days later, the building official drove by and noticed that there was trailer full of construction material. So he had looked into the window and noticed that there was interior renovations happening. So this building has multiple units in it, and so they have removed some of the fire separation that's required between units without a permit. And at this point in time, no one has been able to gain access into this property. district staff, so we do not know what state this is in at this point in time and whether or not it's unsafe or not. And similar to the last one, we're changing our recommendation to allow them 45 days. So into the last resolution.
Somebody please move that a notice on title be placed on the property at 545 Main Street, legally described as Lot A, Township of Lillooet, Plan 6702, PID 0100731767. Pursuant to section 57 of the community charter, and that the building department staff investigate the option of a remedial action pursuant to section 73 of the community charter process and report back to council prior to August 2nd, 2024. So I can go ahead and change that without an amendment. Excellent. Motion please. Councilor DeBruin, second by Councilor Reid. And before we get started, I know that although Mrs. Garish cannot be here today, we have received additional correspondence and reviewed it before making this decision. Is anybody, I don't think she's here anyways, but I will ask the question just in case, owner or approved delegate here to speak to property at 545 Main Street? Okay, question, Councilor McNary.
Is our building inspector allowed to take around and take pictures from business?
Sorry, not sneak around. I know,
Well,
I
wander
appreciate, I
around, yeah.
appreciate that, but maybe not sneak
We're
around.
working on his charm.
They are allowed to enter.
But they're not allowed to enter inside.
Again, proper notice, yes. There's more things than
Interesting. Okay, and I understand this property owner, you did try and meet them twice.
yes, Jamie, the director, and I set up 2 teams meetings and she did not. One, and then a couple of days later, she's like, sorry, I missed it. So,
So the mayor, it's mentioned here that it looks like they're running a Airbnb or a rental out of there as well. Is there any business license there?
I'd say this one was scaled back too. We are just putting a notice on title. In the next 45 days. Councilor DeBruin.
Yeah, and I guess my perspective on this is that, you know, there are situations that we've discussed today where we're talking about a single family home or a residence of some sort. But when it comes down to properties that's either close to public or in this case provide housing for tenants, it does become, I guess, a higher priority. I think this council takes has housing as a top priority. So the last thing that we want to do is remove housing from the market. But at the same time, we do want to ensure that our tenants have a safe place to live. So I hope that with this action, the property owner will work with our building officials in order to bring things into compliance so that we can continue to have housing for our residents.
Yeah, call the question. All in favor? So 9.3, don't something about correspondence. That's, I'm just gonna make a motion to receive. After we, for the ground, all in favor. Okay. Let's come over here. I have a report for somewhere.
Don't want to hear it.
Yeah, we got it. I can't find it anywhere.
3-1 boilers.
Pardon me?
3-1 boilers.
Go Alberta. Nice spoiler. You think Canada guy.
Well, I was taking it.
We can watch the fight. Watch the fights.
Just.
Okay, yeah, let's take a 5-minute report. I got my report, let's take a 5-minute.
Well,